as I've tried to impress earlier, India equals Asia for us, and Germany and the European Union, in a way, are equivalent for India. It is of immense importance, as has become obvious today during our talks, that India plays a very important part, and though we both have our own political positions and political priorities, but when it comes to democratic principles and regulatory steps, both our countries and both our markets tend to be very diligent and adhering to certain details. Sometimes we could make it easier for the other side to engage in the respective market. You said you could as I've tried to impress earlier, India equals Asia for us, and Germany and the European Union, in a way, are equivalent for India. It is of immense importance, as has become obvious today during our talks, that India plays a very important part, and though we both have our own political positions and political priorities, but when it comes to democratic principles and regulatory steps, both our countries and both our markets tend to be very diligent and adhering to certain details. Sometimes we could make it easier for the other side to engage in the respective market. And we've underlined that in our discussions today, and I think we both have our homework to do in that regard. When you look at the history of India, it is more than obvious that at the time when I was young and went to school and later studied at university, I got to know India as a non-aligned country. Of course, that has left its mark on this country and distinguishes this country from Germany, which has always been a part of NATO, a part of the Western world. And during the Cold War, we were in confrontation with the then Soviet Union. And unfortunately, and I deplore that fact, because we thought we'd overcome that, but we are back in a situation, we've not been able to overcome this, back in a situation where we're confronting Russia, have a confrontation between Russia and the European and Europe, because international law is being violated there. We find us again in this situation, and India finds itself in a different situation. So that is a challenge to talk about these matters, or rather not to talk about these matters, but to always reach a perfect agreement on all of these issues. But that's obvious, that's what is to be expected, and I don't think it's something bad, because in so many other areas we totally agree, and we have this reliability and predictability of the respective partner country, which plays such an enormous part, and of which we know that this is a clear political stance of India to contribute to bringing about a process for peace in Ukraine as quickly as possible. Again, here we see eye to eye. And I tried to convey that when I traveled here, but I totally agree with my colleague that this talk has not only been an easygoing talk, it has been also very fruitful, and it took place in a spirit of friendship. And I returned to Germany much encouraged as a consequence. I said already earlier today that I have a positive view of the development of Indo-Chinese relations, nor was it up to me, nor were I considering myself the person to pass judgment on this. This is a matter that pertains to the respective countries, and they are of course free to shape their relations as they desire. But we always welcome when two countries try to improve the understanding between themselves. We agree with India and many other countries that we need to defend the international rules-based order, and that we also have to defend it against China. At least that is our clear analysis. And because you used those words, and you did so correctly, Germany, like the European Union, has a clear position regarding China. For us, China is a partner in some areas. Think of climate protection. It is clear and obvious that we won't be able to address these issues and problems without China. We also view China as a competitor. We compete against China in a number of areas, sectors. Our business does, our economy does. It's generally speaking not a problem, but we place value on having a fair competition and equal rules. But we also see China as a systemic rival. We don't want that rivalry. We increasingly note that the number of areas is increasing where China has chosen this approach, though, and we are sad about that. Therefore, we have to respond in some of these areas, amongst them our areas where we have to defend our markets against China. We're determined to continue to do so. At the same time, we always express our readiness to return to the partnership spirit. With regard to bilateral trade, India and Germany are already playing in the Premier League. Germany, with a little under 31 billion euros of trade, has India as its most important trading partner. As I said to my colleague, we aim to double that. And I'm pleased to see that India takes a similarly positive and optimistic view of the chances for that. And this is why Germany strongly supports the EU-India Free Trade Agreement. And we hope that this can be speedily negotiated so that it can be concluded before the end of this year, in autumn this year, and hopefully lead to a ratification process.